Hey everybody, Charles here. In today's video, we're going to get you some completely unfiltered MBA admissions advice from one of our very, very favorite admissions consultants. And that is the thing we love to do in our MBA admissions content and our GMAT and GRE content as well. Give you the unfiltered truth, no BS, no silly internet rumors. Here's how to actually improve. We're going to say the quiet part out loud. Now, with all that in mind, if you could use one-on-one help with your applications, please hit us up at gmatninja.com, fill out the contact form there, also available in the video description, and we will send you the names of a bunch of our favorite admissions consultants at a bunch of different companies, not just ours. And the reason we love to do that, if you've put in the hard work to kick butt on the GMAT, on the GRE, and the executive assessment, we want to make sure you end up in the best possible hands. There are a lot of mediocre consultants out there, a lot of great ones. We want to make sure you end up with one of the great ones. So hit us up via that contact form, video description, or at gmatninja.com. That's it. Enjoy today's video.
Hi everybody, Charles from GMAT Ninja here. Today we're going to talk about your MBA journey and why maybe you should be applying for something that is not an MBA. Here to talk about this with me, Susan Cera, Director of MBA Admissions at Stratus Admissions Consulting. Susan, thank you so much for doing this.
Glad to be with you, Charles.
Okay, so we're going to get into all kinds of stuff here. So specific programs and things like finance and entrepreneurship and real estate and MIM degrees and MFin degrees and all sorts of acronyms and all sorts of things you might be considering if you have specific interests and not just a general business interest. But first, I want to start with something that sounds like a really dumb question. But if you're just starting this MBA journey, you might not be totally aware, what is an MBA really for, and what sorts of jobs do people get after their MBA?
So an MBA is really a general management degree. And it's typically for people who have, on average, 4 to 5 years of pre-MBA work experience. 80% of students coming in have somewhere between 3 and 8 years of work experience. An MBA is really only as valuable as the people sitting in the classroom with you, because a lot of the learning comes not from the professors, but from the experience of the people sitting around you in class or working on a group project with you. So what does that mean in real terms? It's a general management degree. You could go do any number of things coming out of business school. It's not like a law degree or a medical degree that you have to practice business. But kind of the big 4 roles that companies come and recruit MBAs for are investment banking, consulting, product manager roles, whether that be in the tech space or product/brand manager in the CPG space, and rounding out kind of 60 or 70% of placement coming out of business school is probably a leadership development program or an LDP at a big established company where you'll go through a bunch of different rotations, either maybe within finance roles within that company or across different functions in that company, with the expectation that you're going to stay with that company for the long haul and they're going to move you up in a specific function or generally into the leadership.
Okay, so if the vast majority, so 2/3, maybe a little bit more than that, of full-time MBA graduates end up in this handful of roles, so investment banking, consulting, product management of some sort, some flavor or another, or a leadership development program. If you're thinking about something else, so if there's something else that's maybe more specific you want to do, does that mean that the MBA is wrong for you, or how should you think about that decision?
It's not necessarily wrong for you, but you're going to have to work a little bit harder to find a job, say, in real estate or in supply chain or in human capital, although that might fall under consulting because you might go into human capital consulting or you might go into supply chain consulting. But those are often kind of self-directed job searches, and you might be better served by going to a targeted program where everyone's doing real estate, and therefore the universe of alumni from that program are all in the industry or function that you are targeting when you come out of this master's degree program.
Okay, so if you know you want to do something super specific, real estate is one, maybe you're better off going to a real estate program, being surrounded by people, alums, your network, not just your classmates who are doing that also for a living or want to do it for a living. I guess what other sorts of fields can you think of or jobs you can think of where there are master's programs, there are graduate programs that kind of direct you specifically towards it, where you might think MBA, but maybe there's something else out there. Real estate, I guess, what others would be on that list?
So other ones would be finance, data analytics or business analytics. We're seeing a lot of growth in those areas in the last couple of years. Marketing. So you know specifically you want to be in a marketing role, and it's not necessarily a brand manager role, but it might be social media marketing or product marketing. You don't necessarily need an MBA for that. A degree in marketing might work. Or entrepreneurship. You could get an MBA and become an entrepreneur, or if you absolutely know you want to be an entrepreneur now and maybe you have an idea you want to incubate, you might just go and get a master's in entrepreneurship to start with.
So I want to hone in on the finance one specifically, just because I think it's a good example of a degree where there's a specific, many flavors of specific master's degrees geared towards finance that are not MBAs. There are also obviously tons of finance people who go get their MBAs. So if you're interested in finance, whatever flavor of it might be, how much you think about that decision? So when is let's say a master's in finance or financial engineering, when might that be a better fit for you than an MBA?
So if perhaps you're early in your career and you know you want to be an asset manager, or you want to be doing quantitative trading, or you just finished undergrad and you didn't study finance, but you really decided late in the game that you'd like to go into investment banking, a master's in finance might be the right step for you now. That doesn't preclude you returning to graduate school after 3 or 4 years of experience and getting that MBA when you want to start thinking you want to get out of the weeds of building models or doing trading and think more strategically. And you're getting to a point where you're leading a team of people and you need to set a vision, or you want to spin out and start a firm of your own. Then an MBA might make sense for you. But in the near term, an MFin or an MSF or a master's in financial engineering might be a better option for you.
And Susan, are these programs typically structured very similar to MBAs? What we typically picture, certainly in the US context with MBAs, we picture a 2-year full-time program. Obviously, tons of variety beyond that. There are 1-year MBA programs, there are part-time MBA programs, evening programs, all that sort of thing. The most high-profile ones are 2 years typically here. Is that usually the case for things like masters in finance or real estate, or do you have that same sort of variety where there's 1-year programs? Are 1-year programs more common? What sorts of things do you see out there?
So really, when you are that focused and you're not doing a general management degree where you have to take core curriculum and get exposed to all the different functions of business, you can be more focused from day one. And as a result, many of these programs are 12, 15, 18 months rather than almost 2 full years. And some of those have an internship built in because that really is necessary to allow you to test some of the things you're learning in the classroom, spend some feet on the ground in a company that might hire you full time. It's really like your test run before you're hired full time.
What are the other kinds of programs in sort of the almost an MBA world that we hear about a lot? MIM degrees, MMS degrees, depending on which part of the world you're in. Can you say a little bit about those? How are they different from an MBA, and who's best suited for those?
Yeah, I actually years ago was a TA for the MMS program at Duke, which is a
Awesome.
Master's in Management Studies. And I like to think of those degrees as being a pre-experience kind of post-undergrad degree in business. And those are intended for folks who didn't study business undergrad, but maybe realize their junior year that they are fascinated by business, but they were studying engineering or English literature, and they just weren't able to land the job they wanted. And they need a little bit more time to develop some skills that's going to place them into an analyst role and at an investment bank, or an entry-level consulting role, or an entry-level marketing role. And so the MIM and MMS degrees are really 1 year, typically starting in June. And you're going to get intro to all the business functions and maybe do some experiential learning. But when you finish in June of the next year, you're going to hopefully land a job similar to what the kids who went to a business school undergrad were landing, or those who studied economics and knew from their freshman year in college that they wanted to go into investment.
So for folks who are super early in their careers or just finishing up their undergrad, who are thinking long run, I want that shiny MBA, like that's the more recognized degree. I want to get it from maybe an elite program. If they get an MIM degree or an MMS degree, can they still go get an MBA later, or is that something that's unusual or frowned upon in some way?
That's a great question. In fact, you can go back in a couple of years and get an MBA. And one thing that we've seen just in the last few years is there are more schools that are offering a one-year MBA if you've done an MIM or an MMS. So they're not going to force you to sit back through some of the intro classes that you already took in a graduate level course. And depending on, what you want to do, maybe you just need to accelerate the trajectory you're on. A one-year MBA later on, like the Kellogg 1Y or Columbia J-Term or some of the schools that will allow you to return to their program if you did an MIM or an MMS there, would be great options. But if you decide 3-4 years out of one of those pre-experienced master's degrees that you want to take a different route, you might want to go to a 2-year program where you have the opportunity to do an internship, allowing you more flexibility in the exit opportunities from an MBA.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've thrown a ton of acronyms out there: MIM, MMS, MFin, all these different programs. I guess final advice for anybody who's kind of going, wait, how do I sift through this? I was thinking MBA, now maybe I'm thinking something else. What's your advice as far as how to explore all that?
Yeah, so reach out to us. I'm glad to have a conversation. I very frequently see people who fill out a form and they say, I want an MBA. And I look at their background and I'm like, yeah, you could get an MBA now, but you're going to get an MBA from, some school that is definitely not an M7 school. Probably
because
not.
The experience isn't strong enough yet.
Exactly. Because the experience is not there yet. You could get an MBA from an online program or something in the top 100, but don't, think about where you want this degree to take you and whether or not a less recognized MBA program is going to put you on the path that you want to be on. You can only get one MBA. You can't later upgrade to a better school. So think wisely in doing that MBA.
Perfect. Susan, thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome, Charles. Great to see you.
Hi, everybody. Me again. If you made it this far, odds are pretty good you're really serious about this whole MBA admissions thing. If that's the case, 2 quick things I want you to keep in mind. First of all, if you'd like the names of our very, very favorite admissions consultants at a number of different companies, not just our own, we've got a nice little contact form. You can fill out on our website, gmatninja.com, also available in the video description. Fill that out. We'll send you the names of a bunch of our favorite admissions consultants. No strings attached, nothing weird, not selling you anything, not going to sell your email, nothing. Just want to make sure you end up in the best possible hands. And second thing, if there's anything you'd like to see us address in these MBA admissions videos, please punch a comment in and we will do our best to film the stuff that you're interested in. And again, as always, if you like this, please hit that like button and please subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a great day.